Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and to today's video where I'll be sharing my top 20 April fashion favourites that I've found across the high street and beyond this month. Sharing all my picks from the most affordable end of the high street from the likes of H&M, New Look and Marks & Spencer. Then we've got that middle price point from the likes of COS and Other Stories and Sesan of course. And then going all the way up to those quite standout special pieces from the likes of M, Anina Bing and Reformation. I do love a window shop and I love it even more when I get to share it with all of you. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all your favourites in the comments below. So without further ado, better get started. So let's start with Sesan, a very good place to start in my humble opinion. Some of you might have seen my new Sesan haul that I shared recently. If you missed that, I shall add that in the description box below. But even with that order alone, I did find it really hard editing down the pieces that I could actually afford to have in one order. And this skirt being one item that's still very much on my wish list. Now, stating the obvious, I absolutely fell in love with the colour first and foremost. What a beautiful shade of brown. But this is just a little bit more softer than some of the chocolate tones we've been seeing a lot recently, which is definitely why it caught my eye initially. Secondly, I really love the shape of this one. It looks like it's really scooping in nicely at the waistband. Plus, I think point of difference, it was quite a nice detail having those buttons running all the way down the center. I also do really like this as a co-ord set, so perhaps that top needs to find its way into my basket too. Let me know what you think. Next up, I headed over to Reformation and found this absolutely beautiful pastel lemon dress. Reformation for me is one of those stores that I definitely admire from afar, but it's not the kind of price point that I can buy from too often. So it's the sort of store I would shop at when I'm looking for that special occasion piece. Maybe actually summer weddings, which I think this dress is actually kind of what I had in mind. Now, of course, being in yellow, it's one of the big fashion trends and we're seeing it all over the high street in every possible iteration going. But this one really stood out. One, because of that fabric and the way it's nipping and scooping all over her shape. I love that portion across the chest. I think that could be really flattering. And it's absolutely the sort of thing I would wear to a spring summer wedding. For me personally, at a wedding throughout the day or in the church, for example, I would probably just add a pashmina over my shoulders or maybe a stole. I actually found one in butter yellow as well, so I could kind of show you a mock-up of the complete look. So a great find at Reformation if you're perhaps looking for something to wear to a wedding this year. Lucky you. I do love a good wedding. Next up, I headed over to the super affordable end of the high street, New Look, and I found what I think is a really lovely jacket for spring. Now, they've called this a barn jacket, which I guess it is because of that contrasting collar that's done in that slightly ribbed cotton in the brown, sat against the khaki cotton of the jacket. But in actual fact, looking at this and reading the description of the fabric, it looks to me like it's just a really great version of quite a lightweight jacket for spring. Price point is always brilliant at New Look anyway, so it's definitely somewhere I would never discount from my shopping list. And actually they often have a few little gems like this that are made from 100% cotton or near enough, and elsewhere something like this would retail over £100. So in spring, certainly in England and probably for lots of you as well, wherever you are in the world, we do need that extra layer. So for me, I would probably use this jacket a little bit like I would use a denim jacket throughout spring. It's still lightweight, it's made from cotton, feels nice against your skin, but you do sometimes need that extra layer. So that one I thought was a good option. Hopefully the light's not bugging you today. I've got my curtains open. Normally I would keep them closed when I'm filming, so you've got the lights on. But it's so beautiful out there and I'm feeling very spring-like. So if the light keeps changing, that's why. So thinking of all that beautiful sunshine, that lovely summer we're going to have this year, she says, fingers crossed. I then picked out this beautiful pink dress from M. And actually this is no longer just one of my 20 pieces I have on my wish list. This is actually on its way to me as we speak. I just couldn't resist. I just totally fell for that colour. Plus, of course, that shape, which is very 90s Calvin Klein minimalistic, I suppose, but equally scooped and curved and that dip at the back. I just think it's beautiful. Also, if I couldn't love it anymore, it's made from one of my favourite sustainable fabrics, Lenzig, which is like a tencel, so being a maxi dress, you're going to get that really beautiful drape. I can't wait to show you that one on, so hopefully you like it too. Just a quick mention, if you're enjoying this video and you've got a thumbs up going spare, they are always very gratefully received. And also, if you're not already subscribed and you like my style and how I put outfits together, it'd be lovely if you'd like to do so. Heading over to Arquette now, which I personally really love. This one I know is probably going to drive the American and Canadian subscribers potty because weirdly they still don't ship to you for some strange reason. So apologies, we've got lots more coming up that do. However, those who spotted that Massimo Dutti cotton poplin skirt I tried on recently in store and were equally annoyed that it ran out of stock, this I thought was a really great alternative too. I think this one is equally made from 100% cotton, but if it's not, I never worry about the fabric composition at Arquette. They always use really nice blends. But the interesting thing about this one that I thought made it stand out above the rest actually was that bubble hem that they've done. That's a nice little touch actually for such a plain item, just to give it a little bit of an edge and make it stand out compared to the rest. One thing that's totally non-fashion related, but I'm going to tell you anyway, that's gone straight to the top of my own shopping list. I want to buy my own reformer machine to have at home. They're really expensive, unfortunately, but I've been trying to find one second hand on different marketplaces. Not with any luck, I might add, so if anyone knows where to buy one secondhand, do let me know. There's a local place near me that does the reformer, and literally from lesson one I've been addicted. I absolutely love it. It's definitely an exercise that I know I'm going to get super into, but trying to book in for a lesson is nigh on impossible. It's just always fully booked. So I think I'd love the freedom of being able to do it from home. Not sure where I'd put it because it's a giant bit of equipment, and I definitely need to save my pennies for that one, but just thought I'd put it out there into the universe in case anyone's got one they want to sell. Let me know. I do love a summer dress, or a spring dress as it happens. Just dresses generally, they make me happy. And this one in particular stood out from nobody's child. Yes, of course, probably the colour made it pop out initially, but once I'd got over the fact that it was in my favourite sunshine yellow, I also thought the shape was very reminiscent actually to my Reformation swing dress that I've got in the black. Do you remember that one? It's quite fitted at the waistband like a jersey, and then it falls out in a really beautiful drape. This one's really similar with that sort of swing shape, and it looks really comfy too, not too precious I suppose. So you could definitely dress that down a little bit for the daytime, maybe add a linen shirt over the top, tighten a knot, or just wear it on its own to be honest, and I challenge you not to smile when wearing yellow. A nigh on impossibility in my book. The top half of that dress has been made from Ecovero, and the skirt portion has actually been made from organic cotton. So nice big tick from that front as well. Now for this April fashion favourites, I did find an awful lot of pieces at COS that I would love to add to basket, but I think I managed to edit it down to just two. One of them is actually a pair of sunglasses, and weirdly I would say I've noticed in the last 6 months COS have brought out some really great pairs, and I particularly like this pair. One, because of that brown gradient that they've got on the lenses. I find that most flattering against my skin tone, plus it's going to work really nicely with the majority of my wardrobe as I don't really wear too much black anymore. Two, I love that aviator shape, but this pair is slightly different and perhaps a little bit more on trend, so a nice alternative actually from my classic ones that I got recently. Number 8, I think, in my top 20 April fashion favourites this month, and I really hope you like yellow because it features quite a few times in today's video. This lovely linen shirt from H&M being one of them. Now, stating the obvious, this is quite a wardrobe essential piece, but this is the sort of thing that I would say H&M really come into their own with. It's that core staple piece for your capsule wardrobe. We all love a linen shirt, but retailing under £20 and having been made from 100% linen seems like a very good deal to me. It's a nice yellow they've used as well actually, and I do think a little bit like pinks, yellow is not the easiest to get right. So when I do spot a really nice shade of it done in a linen shirt, which is obviously a classic for spring summer, it's definitely worth a little mention. Number 9 in my monthly fashion favourites, and I headed over to a store that I've never actually bought anything from before, but for some reason they keep popping up in my feed, and I don't know, I keep finding their website and really liking lots of their different pieces. So firstly to a skirt, which I'm not really sure if I've told you about before, so if I have, apologies, but I do think this is a really great example of a linen skirt for spring and for summer actually. One, because it's got those belt loops, which is not something you often see with a linen skirt. Secondly, I really like the shape of this one. I mean, those pleats coming down from the waistband are in a really flattering position, so I think that's going to drape really nicely. Plus, it's going to give the skirt some really nice movement. And then also, actually, you've got those buttons running all the way up, so you can change up the style with that as well. But then when I found this dress, that one had to pip the post to spot number 9 of my April fashion favorites. I just totally fell in love with this dress, and I know it would be the sort of thing I would wear again and again and again in many different ways, actually. I mean, obviously I like how they've styled it very minimally and she's walking along a beach, and yes, you could absolutely use it like that. But I equally looked at it, and particularly because it's in that powder pink, which I love, it's sat against brown or maybe tan, I would probably add a belt with this as well to mix up the styling, and lots of jewelry and stack of bracelets. I mean, it's a very simple button-through dress, but I actually think the beauty with pieces like this is in that simplicity. They've just used a beautiful linen in a gorgeous soft pink pastel tone and kept the shape pretty classic and very simple, and the result is just a beautiful dress that I would no doubt wear all spring summer long. Love that one. Next up, I headed over to River Island, which I personally really rate, particularly for their jeans. I always find some great pairs in there. And I spotted this hybrid dress. Now, this for me, in terms of the style, if I sized up once or twice so it was really nice and loose and quite relaxed, would be absolutely perfect. I would have added it to basket straight away. However, the sad thing with this one was then when I spotted it's been made from quite a heavy amount of polyester and nylon. So unfortunately, and perhaps a little bit of a plea to River Island, please use more sustainable fabrics in some of your dresses, because I love the shapes and the styles and the colors, but I don't really want it in polyester, particularly for spring summer. So instead, I've added this pair of really sustainable trousers that they've made in lyocell to my top 20 instead. Now, they do describe these as jeans, but I don't believe, and certainly if it's made from lyocell, that they would feel like jeans at all. These just made me think of the very relaxed, maybe linen-esque style drawstring trousers that we, live in throughout spring summer. I did get a pair of these recently from Sea Level Australia, actually, but they are particularly beach-esque, i.e. they're quite see-through. So I thought of these as an everyday pair that you could mix and match with all your tees in a very casual kind of way, would do the job really, really nicely. Going a little bit higher end for a moment, and to a jumper that has fast become one of my wish list favorites. I do have a slight obsession, I'd say, with spring summer cotton knits, but when I spotted this one at Anina Bing and just that beautiful slouchy shape and that chunky open work detail, it was definitely a firm favorite. Sadly, unfortunately, because of the price point, Anina Bing is not somewhere I could shop all the time. But again, for those really special pieces that have been made beautifully and they've just got a really lovely, perfect cut to it, that's how I see them for that odd, very special statement piece. Going more affordable now, certainly for a summer dress, and I found this beautiful one in this gorgeous shade of coral made from 100% linen. I absolutely love that colour, and there's something about it, particularly when I get a tan in summer, I do find that orangey kind of coral colour looks great when my skin's a little bit more golden. It just sort of makes a lovely contrast against it. So definitely one that's hovering in my shopping basket as we speak. Shape-wise, of course, as you can see, it's very, very simple, almost string-like kind of detail around the neckline and just a floaty shape. So for me, really, this one is all about that gorgeous pop of colour. But equally, like the dress at Poetry, I would probably play with the styling on this one and add a belt, maybe accents of tan, or maybe a deeper brown against that coral. That would look really nice too. Do let me know in the comments actually what you think to that one, because I'd really like to add it into my wardrobe before we head over to Ibiza in a couple of weeks. All the pretty colours again now as I headed over to Marks & Spencer for number, I'm not really sure, in my top 20 April fashion favourites. And I found this lovely pair of powder pink linen trousers. Now, lots of you that watched the shop with me I did recently at Marks & Spencer, and I did see a couple of comments saying, oh, but I can't find the pieces that you showed when you were looking at the preview. That's because a lot of them were actually coming soon for the spring summer collection. So hopefully by the time this video goes out, a lot of those pieces that I shared will actually be now in stock. So if they are, I shall add a link to as many as I can find in the description box below, so you can have a look at those after this. But this particular pair of pink trousers caught my eye at the preview, and it's nice to see them now in stock online. I love powder pink and I love linen, so definitely one of my top 20s. Staying with all those really pretty shades that we're seeing about for spring summer, but heading over to COS with this gorgeous midi skirt that I found. My reasoning for this one would obviously be one, that color, which I absolutely love, especially actually as not only have they gone with a camel shade, but they've gone with that real caramel tone of it, which I think is just really sumptuous to look at actually. I thought the shape of this skirt was really interesting and definitely something different to what I'd seen about on the high street recently, so definitely a big tick for something a little bit different. You've got that nice twist sort of knot detail at the hip section, and I do think it's away from your waist far enough and also pointed at the side that it would actually be quite a flattering shape. Fabric wise, it's been made from a blend of cotton, and I have a feeling it's going to feel quite jersey-like, maybe quite a thick jersey, which actually in this kind of weather would be really nice to wear. Styling wise, I actually really liked how they'd styled it, just very simply, quite minimalistic look, paired with just a tank top on your top half. If you're not keen on sleeveless, you could maybe just go with a simple t-shirt. Again, actually thinking back to that 90s Calvin Klein kind of era, that's probably the way that I would go with my styling with this too. Number 15 in my April fashion favourites, and I headed over to And Other Stories. Now, there was an awful lot actually that I would very happily add to basket, but I was trying to keep it really tight, trying to my best to stick to just my top 20. So I decided to go with this chocolate midi dress. Now, this for me does look very similar. Now, tell me if you recognise it too. It looks to me like they've taken a heavy nod of inspiration from M&M's quite famous now dress, where they do the jersey on the top and the cotton sateen on the bottom. By the by, whether they've taken inspiration from that or not, I do really like this dress. And I actually find that style where you've got that mix of fabrics, one, that makes it interesting, but two, it's really comfy to wear actually, to have that jersey on your top half. But then you get a bit of elevatedness from the skirt portion, feeling a little bit more dressed up. So I do think the contrast works really well. Plus, again, actually, like a lot of these dresses that I found across the high street recently, I do find these particular dresses very easy to layer, so just to add a shirt over the top, or even completely, even if it's a little bit colder outside and you want a sort of spring knit, and just make it look like you're wearing a beautiful chocolate skirt. Let me check price point wise on that actually. See, that one is retailing at £87, which I think is probably half the price of the one at M&M, so definitely reasonable on the price point, and fabric composition on that is cotton, just with a little hint of elastin, so really nice on that front too. Heading back to Sesan now, but I couldn't do an edition of my top 20 and not include a stripe or two. And this one that I found, just being in quite a classic shirt shape, but with a lovely chocolate stripe, I thought was a definite favourite. Do need to add that to my own basket. Now, Sesan do shirts very well, and they also use a really nice fabric composition, most of the time of 100% organic cotton, which I believe this shirt actually is. They do describe this one as a camel stripe, but to me, I think that's coming up somewhere between a camel and a chocolate. It's kind of a little bit in between, which is really nice actually, something a little bit different. Shape wise as well, I liked the fact that this one is apparently a bit more of an oversized fit, which I do think lends itself a little bit more to spring summer. And actually, depending on the fit of this one, or maybe if you sized up, I would absolutely use something like this as a cover up for my holidays. I do like that look of borrowing your boyfriend's shirt and just kind of throwing it over the top of your bikini. There's something really natural about that, and it's just a look I really like. Elsewhere, styling wise, I think it would go really nicely too with my new linen skirt that I got from Sesan. Do you remember the one that's quite nipped in and pencil shape? That would be a nice way to maybe make a smarter look for the office perhaps. And of course, on top of that, dressing it down with a great pair of jeans is a no-brainer. Monthly fashion favourites, number 17, and I found one gorgeous pair of silk joggers. Now, before you say anything about wearing silk in spring summer, silk is actually really breathable. I had a pair of silk joggers that I got from Lily Silk quite a few years ago now actually, and I wore them all the way through our summer holidays. They were a great purchase. These ones particularly, because they did it in that lovely shade of taupe, I just thought were absolutely stunning. My ones I got from Lily Silk are in black, which isn't something I'm particularly reaching for at the moment, so I think that taupe tone would suit my palette a lot better at the moment. Plus, if you're feeling a little bit flush, I would love to add the top that goes with it too. That just makes a gorgeous co-ord set. I absolutely love it. And there's something about the contrast of you know, using such a luxurious fabric like 100% silk with something traditionally very dressed down like a pair of joggers, and she's just wearing a simple vest top. I love that juxtaposition between the two. I think it just makes it stand out for all the right reasons. Now, I know lots of you already love this independent brand, but if you're not familiar with them, they make really beautiful pieces that are kind of loungewear stroke athleisure. It's a really lovely collection actually, and I often find far too many pieces I would love to have. But this particular pair of shorts really caught my eye, mainly I suppose because I have a lot of their pairs of joggers and the fabric is just gorgeous. It's so ridiculously soft actually. So I have a feeling that these shorts will feel the same. It's jersey, but it almost feels like it's doubled jersey. So it's got some weight to it, it's quite substantial feeling I suppose, and just a really nice shape for something that is often seen as a wardrobe essential or a basic with a pair of jersey shorts. I also really particularly like them in this taupe tone, and styling wise I then found this ecru version of a top that I've actually got in the baby blue. So I kind of thought those two together as like an everyday quite casual look for spring summer would make a really nice set. Now heading back to H&M now. For this time I found something in the H&M Premium collection. Now I really rate H&M just generally speaking. I think their normal collection, which is obviously a lot more affordable, has got some brilliant pieces in there. And even in that range as well, you often see lyocell's, 100% cotton, Ecovero, Tencel, etc. Lots and lots of different sustainable fabrics coming through and getting more and more each season actually. If however you're looking for something in 100% silk, you are more than likely going to need to look at the Premium collection, which obviously is a little bit pricier, but it's still not silly prices, thank goodness. So there I found this long silk skirt in ecru, which I just thought was beautiful. I do already have a couple of silk skirts in my own wardrobe, but I'd really like a long one. I just think I would probably get more use out of a maxi version, even in spring and summer, than I would some of my midis, mainly because I just love the shape of a maxi, and I do find it really versatile to mix and match or dress up or dress down with the different pieces I've already got. So for instance, if I wanted to do something a little bit more low, like a day wear look, I would just pair a silk skirt like this with a nice t-shirt or even a tank top. Something very simple on your top half and ideally made from cotton or something similar to contrast against that silky fabric. That mix of textures always stands out a mile for me. And then thinking of beautiful textures, I then found this gorgeous linen coat at Mango. I do love a trench coat, or 5, I think it's fair to say, but when I spot one in 100% linen, well, that's just a bit of a no-brainer for me. I love it. Obviously, a big point of difference is the fact that this is made from linen, which really makes it stand out for me. That's not something I've seen, I don't think, anywhere else on the high street recently. Plus, I think another really nice detail with this one is they've done quite prominent looking lapels. They're quite oversized, and that actually makes a really nice shape across the chest portion. So with pieces like this, I do think the coat is the outfit. You could just go with something very simple underneath. I mean, jeans and a t-shirt, add that coat over the top and it just makes the whole outfit a really beautiful piece. I love that. Oh, I've gone over. Okay, so BRUCIE bonus piece, item number 21 out of my top 20 pieces I would love to add from the high street, but I couldn't not include this very cute looking set that I found at Mint Velvet. Now, when I did my March version of this fashion favorites video, lots of you mentioned in the comments actually you should have a look at Mint Velvet. So I dutifully had a good browse and did indeed find quite a lot of pieces that I would equally love to have in my own wardrobe. But the one thing that really stood out for me would have to be this set. If I could only afford one, I would say the blouse is absolute standout for me. However, it does look so very lovely as a co-ord set, so I'd actually really like both. I just absolutely love that scalloped edge, both around the top, but then also matching it up around the shorts as well. Plus those sleeves, very Sesan-esque with that really nice balloon shape and a nice length too, actually coming down to the elbow. As you can see with that pair of shorts, they are coming up a little bit high rise, nicely so I would say. I think that's going to be nice and flattering because they get the front nice and clear, and along with wearing it with a matching pair of shorts, I also thought how lovely that would look with just some of my favorite pairs of jeans. Maybe a nice tan bucket bag, some wedges. Yeah, I can see myself in that for spring summer. I thoroughly enjoy filming these monthly favorites videos, so I'm really pleased to hear that lots of you enjoy watching them as well. It's just fun to be able to do a bit of a window shop and not have to buy anything, but just share my love for beautiful pieces that I've spotted across the high street that equally you might like too. So do let me know in the comment section below if you have a favorite piece from the 21 that I found. It's always really lovely to hear from you, and like I mentioned at the beginning, if you've got a thumbs up going wearing spare, that would be wonderful. And equally, if you're not already subscribed, that would be really lovely too. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Fingers crossed that sun keeps shining, and I look forward to seeing you all again on Sunday. Take care.